North Korea threatening a Christmas gift to America, but President Trump didn't seem too worried about what Pyongyang has planned.
We'll find out what the surprise is, and we'll deal with it very successfully. And let's see what happens. Everybody's got surprises for me, but let's see what happens. I handle them as they come along.
Let's bring in Michael Szanto, an economist who teaches international relations and global economics at the University of Miami. Professor, it's great to have you.
Thank you very much.
So what is it Kim Jong-un wants? Respect, sanctions relief, or maybe all the above?
Oh, I'm sure he wants both. But it is a scary situation because sometimes this regime looks a little bit too frighteningly like a apocalyptic doomsday cult. So it's really hard to ever know for sure. But I'm sure he does want respect. I'm sure he wants to have the sanctions lessened for sure.
Obviously a concern to the United States, but probably a bigger concern for Japan, South Korea, and even our rivals in Beijing, right?
Yes. But the last intercontinental ballistic missile that he tested in November of 2017 had the power to deliver a nuclear warhead to every single American city. Second of all, the U.S. is the main guarantor of the global order. And it's in our interest, for example, not to let the Chinese give in to their worst impulses and be aggressive. So it's important that we show that we're good allies to South Korea. Otherwise, the countries that need to band together if the Chinese ever turn aggressive won't trust us to support them in countering China if it ever became really aggressive.
Is the biggest risk here a mistake, perhaps a projectile fire that lands in South Korea or Japan?
I mean, that is definitely always a potential risk in any type of conflict like this, that miscalculations, mistakes kind of escalate out of control. But we're also dealing with a very paranoid regime. We're also dealing with a regime we don't understand. So the most negative scenario is they see tactical nuclear weapons as an actual vehicle to invade and even conquer South Korea. So that's the worst case. But on the other hand, in many ways, their military options, North Korea, are very, very limited. And we need to get them to understand that in any serious war, it's hard to imagine the regime and the leaders surviving.
So there's no reason for President Trump to think easing up sanctions would improve behavior, right?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's a kind of catch-22. It's hard to say because, you know, we don't want to appear weak. They're continuing to advance on their nuclear weapons and missiles. I will give you a little bit of a silver lining on the proliferation issue. We were always concerned that North Korea would give WMD technology to Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, and Iran. At least Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein honestly are gone. So the proliferation issue, I think, is a little bit less than the past. How to get the North Koreans to improve their behavior is not clear. But I think that we can't totally forget that they are surrounded by very powerful military, South Korea, Japan, our forces, and even China. So their military options are constrained as well.
President Trump has tried dialogue with the North Koreans, while other American presidents have tried more isolation or carrot and sticks type approach. Was it wise to try something different?
It wasn't a bad idea that he actually tried a more peaceful approach, because Korea probably ranks #1 in the most the place that the Pentagon most dreads if, God forbid, a war breaks out, because of the artillery that could hit Seoul, for example, and that's a huge issue. And it could go nuclear, and it's a very unpredictable regime. So definitely the Pentagon is far, far from enthusiastic from doing military options. But on the other hand, I mean, I think the North Korean government know that in the other extreme, that South Korea and the U.S. have decapitation options. And honestly, frankly, probably so does China if the North Korean government crosses certain lines very badly.
Kim Jong-un seems to be well aware of American holidays. Is that a sense of maybe that this would get him the most attention?
Yeah, I mean, he does seem to love the attention, that is for sure.
Michael Szanto, thank you so much for your time. Happy holidays, and
Thank you.
We appreciate your analysis.
You're very welcome.